Yo, welcome back guys. Alright, so as you can see, I've gone ahead and rendered the image of Khalida, and we can see that we've got the dark tones. So what I've tried to do is I've tried to emphasize the different textures using just the darker tones of the color. So as I said, be careful because it can start to look a little bit muddy. So as you can see here with her top, I've actually put in a little bit of red to it to warm it up a touch again, because it was feeling a bit muddy when I was rendering it. Also, you can see I've mixed the different techniques what we looked at previously. So here I've done a bit of airbrushing on the face to give that nice smooth look. Used a lasso tool on the headscarf because I want it to be quite reflective, quite harshly reflective of color, and a kind of mix of the two for the top. You see that I've added some texture to the shield simply by changing the shape of my brush dynamic. So that's the equivalent of a right click. What I've just done there, you can change the shape of your brush, so make it more circular, make it thinner, and then I've just used that and changed the direction that the brush is going at different parts. I've tried to emphasize the reflectiveness of the outer part of the shield, which is metallic, by actually highlighting some of the colors which can be seen on her clothing. So we've got the blue, we've got the red. Cool. Alright, so so the next stage is to add the lighter areas. I'll start off with the face, and then again I'll do the rest of it when you guys ain't looking. Don't worry, I'm not paying someone else to do it. I'm doing it myself, but it'll just be quite time consuming and probably boring for you guys to sit there watching it when you guys can be getting on with it yourselves. So those are my students that are watching this. You guys would have seen me in class working on illustrations as you guys are working on them, so you can get an idea of how long these will actually take. Those of you who aren't in class, you should be getting to class, and those of you who aren't enrolled, then come on down and enroll and get on the course, because that's just the best thing to do. Alright, so as we can see here, we've got the face layer and we also have the face dark layer. So let's make a face layer which is light. I'm just going to double click on that to rename it. Now I've been trying to use this pen and write down things, but it's just not working. So face light. Alright, so I'll use the face as an example of how we add the light areas. Now what I tend to do with the face is I make my brush quite rounded, bring the hardness right the way down to 0. Remember, the size is going to be dependent on your image, so don't take much account of the actual size. The opacity I might bring down also, so I may bring that right the way down to anywhere between 5 and 10%, like I were actually airbrushing a photograph. I'll probably make a video of how you airbrush a photograph using some of the basics at some point. That would be cool for you guys to see. So I was holding down the Alt key, allows me to select that color. Let's make a lighter, nice light variation. I'm going to go across to the yellow, just warmed it up a touch. Alright, now again, we're going to change the shape of the brush depending on the area of the face that we're going to be airbrushing. I don't know why I keep going loud at some point. It's a late evening for me right now, so I'm just chilling. Alright, so let's begin. Yeah. So as you can see, it's a slow process. She's got really high cheekbones because high cheekbones are cool. Let's zoom out, see how that's looking. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to add like an underlayer of the lighter areas, and then I'm going to hit it with some what I just call sharp highlights, so which are much stronger highlights, or some people refer to them as high highlights. Yeah, don't like that, that's making the cheeks look very puffy, so let's undo that. So the areas are going to be extruding the nose as well. Change the shape of the brush so we can accentuate the nose bridge. Zoom in to get to that nose. touch smaller. And as I said, guys, the more that you observe faces or whatever it is that you might want to specialize in creating images of, like cars, that's cool. But the more you observe from life, then the easier it is to create realistic looking renders, because you start to see some things don't change. You start to understand how light hits objects or hits elements of, whether it be the face or whatever. Right, so it becomes that bit easier. No, but as I said, using a reference image is not cheating. A lot of the top industry professionals, concept artists, use reference images. I know some who just don't care. They'll just trace over something and be like, "Oh, that's just how I'm rolling." So, as long as you get that job done and your client or whoever it is that you're working for likes it, then that is the key. That's the key. It'll get done in a timely fashion. And I'll quickly talk to you guys also about blending modes. So here in our option panel, we can see that our layer is set to normal. The majority of our layers, no, all of our layers are actually set to normal at this stage. Now, each of these do a different thing. So when you click on that double arrow, you get a drop down menu. You've got the things that will make it darker. So you've got like darken, multiply, color burn, linear burn, and darker color. Then you've got the lighter ones, so like lighten, screen, color dodge, overlay. Mess about with these, just have a look and see what they do. You may find one that you really like. What I tend to do is, if I was just working on this and you guys, it wasn't a tutorial so you guys can see each layer, is at certain stages I'll just compress all the layers together. So either flatten image, or I think it's control shift and F5, I think it is, something like that. One of the shortcuts which takes a snapshot of your layer, of all of your layers, and then lets you work on that. So as we can see, our face, or Cleda's face, is now starting to come together. It is quite similar to the darker part, which in the sense of it's giving form, helping give form to the face. But obviously it's just doing that in a lighter fashion rather than in a darker fashion. Something else what I'll quickly introduce you guys to is the Gaussian Blur, or Gaussian Blur. I've heard people pronounce it differently. I say Gaussian Blur. If that's not right, sue me. So scroll down to Blur, Gaussian Blur, and what this does, this gives our image a nice blurry effect. Now it is very tempting to just overdo this. You'd be like, "Oh my god, blur everything!" But you don't want to do that, because it will start looking crazy. Right, so do it, but keep looking back at it. So what I tend to do is I may blur it and then hit OK, and then go back in again with my brush and then continue to render over it, which again just you don't want it to have that 1980s carbonic airbrush kind of feel. So how we liking it? It's looking alright, it's looking good. You guys liking what we're doing? Just bring that down a touch, and then I'm trying to do the entire side of the face just to bring it all up a touch in tone. Just under the nose also. So like I said, what I'll do, I'll continue working on all of the lighter areas, so keeping in mind the different surfaces. And then the next video which we'll be doing is going to be a special effects layer, and just kind of emphasizing not to overdo the special effects, but just to put like shines on things and stuff like that. Alright, have a look at them, enjoy them, learn something from them, leave comments, email me if you get lost or get stuck or something doesn't work the way that it worked for me, because that's bound to happen. And that is it. I'll keep working on these lighter layers. Remember, keep in mind when you're rendering that different materials reflect light differently. So for example, I'm going to have a headscarf quite shiny, so that the highlights on that will be sharper. I think in the next video I may explain high highlights. Or actually, let's do it now. So your high highlights are for parts of the image which are like super shiny. Right, so on the face, so for example on this cheek, let's put a high highlight on that. So I'm just gonna change the shape of my brush, bring our opacity up slightly, and then just touch part of the face, part of the nose. So again, this is something which is going to be like the special effects which I explained to you guys in the next video. You don't want to overdo it, even though it is so tempting, because you look and you think, yeah, I'm liking that. And then the next thing, your whole thing is just completely super highlighted and it doesn't look right. Alright, so that was just an example of how you can use that. I'm going to change this cheek up. I'm not feeling it. It's a bit too high highlighted. Alright, the nose I'll leave. Alright people, so I will catch you guys in the next one. Alright, so remember, don't just think outside the box, saw through it.